Right now, DisabilityWorks has 3 functional programs. One is the Chicago Business Leadership Network. They organize a 12-month program of what you could call disability awareness education breakfasts in Chicago, although I will tell you that the topics are very specifically focused to the interests of the business community. Some of the topics include financial incentives, workforce or work opportunity tax credit, other incentives on the job training dollars that businesses may want to leverage. Other topics include invisible disabilities in the aging workforce and how disability affects retention. We're developing an educational module for a statewide series of summits later in the year on public transportation and how corporations can work together or work with their local municipalities to increase access to public transportation, which is good for the workforce. Robin Jones, who I think is either here now or will be presenting later today, will also be addressing the Chamber soon on the recently released regulations of the under the EOC for the Americans with Disabilities Act concerning employment. And we're also interested in helping businesses to determine what works for them and how they may want to measure their inclusiveness. We don't necessarily think that the number of people with disabilities hired is necessarily the answer for a lot of reasons, which I won't go into. But working with companies who can articulate and pursue specific goals around inclusion that are meaningful to them is an important step. And we'd like to help companies do that as well. Helping companies to establish employee resource groups and helping companies to bring youth into the workplace through internship programs are also other topics that we present. So as you can see, if we really drill down to the interests of the business community, we're talking about more than just disability awareness education. You know, we're grateful to have companies like Manpower, to have organizations like the USBLN and other companies who really help us to set the standard. My remarks are brief, but I will say that DisabilityWorks has some frontiers, some new frontier areas too. One of them, I'm going to mention 2 of them just briefly. One of them could fall under the rubric of customized employment. DisabilityWorks secured the Department of Labor's Disability Employment Initiative grant last year. We were one of 9 states in the union representing the state of Illinois who secured this 3-year pilot project to demonstrate best practices in job preparation, preparing people with disabilities for work through the public workforce system. Customized employment is one of the service components that we're going to be integrating into the public workforce development system over the next 3 years. It's intriguing to me, not because it's had great past success in terms of the numbers, but because it's an opportunity for any job developer to work with an employer who's willing or interested, not only to develop positions for people with disabilities, but to examine the entire employment and work process. And in a process that, like DisabilityWorks, meets the needs of both parties here, the person looking for a job and the employer. So I understand that many companies aren't in a position to embrace the customized employment model, at least not right out of the box. But I can also tell you that once relationships are forged with companies who are willing to investigate this channel, those relationships are strong and those companies become role models. The great thing that I think, or the great opportunities of customized employment will offer DisabilityWorks, is the opportunity for the WorkNet centers in Illinois, in this case, to develop relationships with employers and to introduce the ideas of inclusion and disability awareness in a context that, number one, requires specific attention because we all know what customized employment is about, but number two, to demonstrate the possibilities and the potentials for this to work. So more to come on that, but I'm looking at this as a great opportunity.